Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to go over everything I picked up on Blu Ray and 4K Ultra HD for January 2022. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365. Okay, in this video, I will be going over everything I picked up on Blu Ray and 4K Ultra HD for January 2022. This was a good month. I remember last year being a little bit on the slower side, so of course with COVID and the industry ramping back up again, I was very happy with what came out this particular month. And of course, in addition to the new releases, there were some catalog stuff I picked up on Blu Ray. So yeah, lots to talk about. Let's go over it. All right, starting with Blu Ray. This first one I went over in my January recommendations video, and I do highly recommend it. It's really cool. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, and that is Riders of Justice. I saw this one first on Hulu a couple months ago, and I had to have the Blu Ray copy. I think it's really good. It's a, it's a dramatic action butterfly effect kind of film, and not the sci-fi slant, just the premise. But I think it really works. It's got a great cast. It has some little bit of dark humor in it. And ultimately, I think it's a good time. Don't let the cover fool you. It really is a very misleading cover. But yeah, Mads Mikkelsen in Riders of Justice. Definitely pick this one up if you get the chance. This one was also in that video. It's a comedy. It's also, when I think about sketch comedies, especially in the 70s and the 80s, I immediately think of movies like Amazon Women on the Moon, and this one apparently is the first one in that particular lineage. But Kentucky Fried Movie, this one's great. This is very funny. It has some, I would feel, legendary bits in it. My favorite is the opening sequence with the news reports and everything. And I love some of the bits they go to. This is a lot of fun, and a lot of people don't know about this one. So I would highly recommend you check this one out, and it's readily available on Amazon. So Kentucky Fried Movie, yes, watch that one. This one, based off of recently seeing Licorice Pizza from director Paul Thomas Anderson, I realized I hadn't had one of these movies in my collection. And of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix star in it, and that is The Master. This one is so good. It's funny because I remember first seeing it, I didn't know what to expect. And it's really just one of those films that just stays with you all the time. It's got a great story. It's somewhat based off of real people, but the performances in this one are fantastic. I love watching this one. It's not one I go back to very often, but whenever I do, I always appreciate it. And it really, I think it's just such a great story. But yeah, and when it comes to, getting stuff on Blu Ray in hopes that a 4K edition will come, you have to kind of pick your battles. I'm confident eventually a lot of the director's films will arrive on the format. But in the meantime, why not have it in my collection? It'll probably get at least one more watch before an inevitable 4K upgrade happens. So yeah, The Master, check this one out. This was one that I love the movie. For some reason, I never had it in my collection. As a Blu-ray. I had the DVD. I think I even had the Laserdisc. But I saw it on sale for $3.99. I'm like, why not? The odds of it getting a physical 4K release are pretty much slim to none because of the studio involved. But that is Mrs. Doubtfire, starring the great Robin Williams. What can I say about this one? It's so good. It's kind of a hard movie to watch, especially it has to deal with divorce and family. But the bits with just Robin Williams, oh, he's so good in this one. I think I would probably put this in my top 5 of his films. And it's just, it's something to go back to. I do watch this one quite a bit, and I'm very, I have no excuse why this was never in my collection. I think it's like when I finally did decide to get it, I'm like, well, maybe they'll do a 4K, but then the whole thing with 20th Century and Disney happened, and we all know Disney. They love to put out their catalog stuff on 4K. So anyway, Mrs. Doubtfire for $3.99, why not? It's in my collection, glad to have it. Just recently watched this one again, and yeah, it still holds up very well. This was another one that I had this one in my collection, and Years and years ago, I had to sell a portion of my Blu Ray stuff for personal reasons, but I've been, you know, even now, like almost 10 years, I'm still getting stuff back that I had sold before. American Hustle. You know, the star power in this one is phenomenal. The director does such a great job with the story. The cast, oh, the cast is so good, you know, but American Hustle, I finally have this one again. This one might show up on 4K probably sooner rather than later. I could easily see this now being announced eventually, but yeah, I'm glad I got this one. I got it for the cheap, so I'm happy to, once again, have this one in my collection. This one was a complete blind buy based off of a few recommendations. I didn't see a trailer. I didn't even really know anything about it. I'm going based purely off recommendations, and that is Titan. What the hell is up with this movie? Oh my, wow. This one is all over the place, but it's somehow good. It's really strange. I'm not even going to attempt to describe this one because you should go into it without knowing anything about it. Do I recommend it? If you like some strange films, this one will absolutely scratch that itch. It is good, but I can really see turning some people off on this one, but it's weird. It is weird. You might want to rent it first, but Titan, interesting film to say the least, but yeah, check that one out if you dare. This one, you know, with the original Scream appearing on 4K and of course the new version getting a 4K release very shortly, you kind of have to weigh your battles. Is this part 2, 3, and 4 going to be making the 4K list at some point? It could go either way, honestly. But this one was for cheap. I have Scream 2 already, but Scream 3, it's not my favorite of the Scream films. Actually, it's probably my least favorite. But, you know, I wanted to have it. I wanted to rewatch all the films before I got to the newest version. So, I got Scream 4 actually coming in the mail probably for February's video. But, yeah, I'll revisit this one. You know, it might be one of those things when I go back to after several years, I might appreciate it. But, yeah, Scream 3 on Blu-ray. This one is a blind buy. I, once again, didn't see the trailer. I haven't even watched it, so I can't even recommend it or not. But this was a new release a couple weeks ago, and that is The Djinn. It's a horror film. It has something to do with some kind of demonic genie. But, yeah, I'll do a write-up on Letterboxd, so follow me over there if you want to hear my thoughts on it. I'm going to get to this one probably within the next week or two. But, hey, it's got a cool slipcover. There's that. So yeah, The Djinn on Blu-ray. This is also another blind buy, and once again, I haven't seen it, but I will be watching it probably within the next day or so. I don't know if you guys do the same thing. I have kind of like a mental list of movies I want to watch, but yeah, this one, Cop Shop, Gerard Butler, Frank Grillo, just those two alone got me into, like, pick this one up. I waited for it to go on sale for a little bit and snagged it up on Amazon, so yeah. Cop Shop, I will let you know my thoughts on Letterboxd. This is a class. You know, when it comes to Woody Allen, I'm not like one of those that I watch everything that the man does. In fact, I probably don't like as much as I do like, if that makes any sense. But this one, Annie Hall, it's a classic. It's I feel one of Allen's strongest films, and just, you know, it's one I go back to every few years, but I've never owned a physical copy of this in any format. So I'm going to rewatch this one soon, and I'm hoping it holds up again, but it's you know, it's a cool flick. Of course, Allen doing his usual, his bits, but I like the movie, and you know, we'll see. I might do a fresh write-up over on Letterboxd, so look for it over there. This one I saw in the theaters, and I was really going back and forth whether I liked it enough to get a physical copy. And of course, I kind of expected a 4K edition to never happen. Of course, it is 4K digitally, and once again, 20th Century Studios being the studio, which is Disney, essentially. Antlers. This has, once again, I think after a rewatch, I'm going to lean more towards really liking it. Because this movie is depressing. It is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's depressing, but it has some great, like, internal mythology. The visuals are really good, and with Guillermo del Toro producing, yeah. So this one has some pedigree to it. I think it's, you know, it's It's one of those I would rent first if you're unsure. But if you want a good atmospheric horror film, and it's got some great drama to it, I would check this one out. It is available on Blu-ray. And finally on Blu-ray, the 3D edition of Dune. Normally I would have reviewed this for my channel, but my 3D TV went kaput. I have somebody coming to check it out, or I'm going to take the TV to hopefully get it fixed. But I did watch it in 3D on my PlayStation VR. Of course, it's not going to be the same experience as watching it on an actual TV, but I felt that there's some great depth to this one. And of course, with Warner Brothers pretty much being the last studio standing as releasing 3D Blu-rays in the States, I would recommend it if you're a fan of Dune. It definitely has some good stuff to it. I can't really comment too much on the audio. I don't have it hooked up for that, unfortunately, with the VR. But hopefully if the 3D TV comes back, I'll be able to give this one a fresh view. But I recommend the movie highly. So yeah, Dune on 3D Blu-ray. As for the 4K pickups this month, unfortunately it started with a bit of a dud. And this is one of my favorite movies, especially under the Disney live action catalog. And that is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. It is really one of my favorite movies, but oh my God, the 4K edition is terrible. I don't know what Disney was thinking. This is like Terminator 2 levels bad. The transfer is just bad. Just keep your Blu-rays. You know, this one breaks my heart on a personal level. Of course, we all want a great edition of Terminator 2, but you know, I don't know what went wrong. I really don't know. It was just, the entire movie looks like it was shot in overcast filter. The HDR grading is horrible. And the Atmos is probably the least offensive, but it's still a typical Disney Atmos. Yeah, I can't recommend this one, but go back, get the Blu-ray, stick with that, and maybe one day some justice will be done for this, but yeah, it's a shame about this one. It's really it just stinks. This next one came from the Criterion Collection, and that is Jane Campion's The Piano, starring Holly Hunter and Harvey Keitel. I like this one a lot. This is a great period drama, and I think the 4K edition from Criterion is very well done. The boutique label is really one of those that I feel serious about their 4K commitment. I'm hoping we see many more titles from them in the future, but I recommend the movie just off the movie itself. But get the 4K edition. I think you're really going to be impressed, and it really does look good on the format. This one is, I own the Blu-ray, but I did want to upgrade to the 4K edition, and that is Weathering with You. Released by Shout Factor, I believe. Now, I haven't watched it on 4K yet. I probably will in the next couple weeks. But yeah, I recommend it. Japanese animation, it can really be stellar. And this has got a very good story. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I would absolutely do so. If you're gonna, if you're unsure, rent it first. But yeah, 4K edition, I'm anxious to see what hopefully the HDR and Dolby Vision will do for the picture quality. So yeah, I might let you know my thoughts down the line. This one was released by Kino Lorber, and that is The Great Escape, starring Steve McQueen, among many others. Of course, it doesn't have any HDR grading with this one. It's standard SDR, but this movie looks really good. Now, I did a comparison on my actual review between this and the Criterion edition. I think this one wins out just a little bit. The color timing is slightly different, and of course, you get a little bit more resolution with the native 4K. This is a very good release by Kino. I think as a movie, it's just pretty, it's of course, there's no such thing as a fun, kind of World War II thing, but it's it's very compelling watching, these groups of prisoners bundled together and they're trying to make their escape. And it kind of has a bit of a downer ending, but I still think, it's the cast alone really is what sells it to me, and it's a very good movie. So yeah, I recommend you check out The Great Escape. This next one is very divisive. In fact, I think it leans a little bit more towards the negative of the a lot of people's opinions about it. Halloween Kills. I did a review for the channel on this one. I was not down on this one as many people were. Actually, I sort of liked it a little bit more than the Halloween 2018. but I can understand why some people don't. So, not, you know, it's just one of those films. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But if you're going to go for it, I would recommend the 4K edition. It's pretty cool. And I like the embossing on the slipcover. So, yeah. Halloween Kills. This one, of course, was one of my favorite movies of 2021. And it's just so good. But I of course, wanted to get a review. I wanted to get a review for the channel up. And the Steelbook edition was being delayed, so I wanted to just kind of get an actual copy. But the slipcover of Dune 2021 and the Steelbook edition, the Steelbook is gorgeous. I know it has kind of like a minimalistic, you know, appearance to it, but I love the movie so much, it doesn't bother me. In fact, I'm glad I have 2 copies, you know, but I recommend this movie very highly. The 4K edition is demo material, both picture and audio are fantastic. So yeah, Dune 2021 is out on 4K. This is the latest from director Edgar Wright, and that is Last Night in Soho. I was very happy with the 4K presentation here. I think picture quality wise, it looked very good, and the audio, especially after a certain portion, is fantastic. It's got a great Atmos track, and if you're a fan of the director, you know, I think it has all of his visuals and his great soundtrack, but I feel like his distinct voice is not necessarily like prominently featured in the film. That being said, it's still a very decent thriller. I would recommend it, but yeah, this one, check it out. Last Night in Soho. This was a release just a couple weeks ago. I never owned the initial 4K. I think it was one of those where when Lionsgate started re-releasing movies in the Steelbook, I held off picking it up. And sure enough, a release came out in Steelbook form, and that is The Punisher, starring Thomas Jane. Probably one of my favorite Steelbook designs of 2022 so far. And of course, with Lionsgate doing the slipcovers, you get that extra. Yeah, it's cool. I did a whole unboxing on the channel if you want to check that out for the review. But I also, you know, going back to some of the older before MCU Marvel films, there are some good gems in this one. And I remember not liking this one as much when I first saw it in the theater because, you know, they took the whole New York setting out of The Punisher. But going forward and rewatching it, I've appreciated it more. And it's just one of those, I think, it definitely deserves a little bit more love than it really has. But yeah, Punisher 2014, now out on Steelbook form. This one I saw several years ago. But I was kind of, this was an out of nowhere 4K release. That is The Lover. This one is very good. Of course, it's got that whole, you know, it's like kind of like the erotic thriller, or not thriller, it's erotic drama. Beautifully shot. The locations in this one are really fantastic. And I do feel the 4K does a really good job. I think it's got a good picture quality and HDR with Dolby Vision, fantastic. And the audio is very good as well. If you haven't seen it, look this one up. But and also if you're a fan of the film and you didn't know a 4K edition exists, now you do. The Lover on 4K. And finally, this was an A24 exclusive for January. This movie, I did a review for the channel just a few days ago. And it's definitely one of those, if you're a fan of A24 films, you know what you're getting into, but Lamb on 4K Ultra HD, they also sell Blu Ray edition. You can only get this on the A24 website. So go to A24 shop and pick this one up. I believe it's about 35 bucks. Of course, it's a boutique label. They're going to cost a little bit more, but if you're unsure about the movie, rent it first. You can easily rent it, digitally or whatever, but I think the 4K edition looks fantastic. The locations are beautiful. The story's a bit of a drama with a little bit of horror thrown in. But yeah, Lamb, I think A24 did a great job with the presentation. So this one is now on 4K. So that is everything I picked up on Blu-ray and 4K for January 2022. Now it's your turn in the comments. What did you pick up this previous month on Blu-ray and 4K? And also, if you're interested in any of these titles, I will leave an Amazon link in the comments section. And if you use it, it really helps out the channel. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.